this is kind of stunning for a couple of reasons. Sam Hunt's wife has filed for divorce. And in her divorce papers, she says a couple of things. One, she is filing in Tennessee. And in Tennessee, it is not a no-fault state. You have to show fault in order to get a divorce.
And she is, the fault that she's laying it all on Sam and saying that this is because he is an adulterer. That's what she's saying in the divorce papers.
The other shock is that she's pregnant, which nobody knew. She's due in May, just a couple of months from now. She's 7 months pregnant. We didn't even know she was pregnant, but she kind of dropped that in the divorce petition. But she has filed for divorce. She also said that the date of separation was this past Friday. So when you kind of piece it together,
that's all right. I found out on Friday. I'm done. File the papers, and so Monday morning, she's out.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's really usually not as much to glean from divorce documents as we're seeing here. We know that.
But Jason,
it's
it's because most of the time we're dealing with no fault.
That's right. And so you don't have to make the case for why you're getting divorced. Here, she has to make her case. Now, it's not a high bar to overcome, and you can get a divorce at the end of the day just based because you're not happy together anymore. But here, she cites a specific explanation, and that is that he committed adultery. And she separates on the very same day that she files the document.
So she is asking basically for the works here. It looks like they had a prenup because the way it's written, they talk a lot about separate property, but she is asking for, in Tennessee, it's still called alimony. She's asking for temporary alimony, permanent alimony. As for the child, she wants primary custody, and she wants child support. So
now I got just a legal question. Lawyers don't really put it that way, do they? They don't say, do you want the works?
Well, no, they don't.
The way you just said. I just want to make sure that's not a legal term.
No, it's not a legal term. But it's also pretty standard in a situation like this, especially, Sam Hunt's a very, very wealthy man. And, here you've got a child that's being born. So it's pretty messy for sure. But this just came out of the blue.
Yeah. And she's due in May, she said?
She's due in May.
I mean, maybe people in Nashville knew, but I didn't.
Jason,
I had no idea that I hadn't heard.
Yeah, Jason, do you have that code section that she cited? Because I thought that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, so she also says in here, in addition to citing adultery, she cites to another provision within Tennessee's divorce code, which says, and she says, the husband is guilty of such cruel and inhuman treatment or conduct towards the spouse as to render cohabitation unsafe and improper. So we don't know exactly what it means here.
The way I see that is that dovetails with the adultery allegation. That I think that it's kind of one and the same. That's kind of the way I'm reading it. I don't know. Do you read it the same way?
I read it as one possible. She would have to categorize that. It's interesting because so what it is a bunch of different code sections you can cite to as for grounds for divorce. Harvey said it's a no cause. It's not a no fault state. So she has to cite grounds. One of the code sections allows for adultery, which she checks that box. Another one that she's checked, so it seems redundant if she's just saying adultery again, is this cruel and inhuman treatment code section. We can guess that maybe she just equates adultery with cruel and inhuman treatment. Possible. It could very well be that she's citing to something else.
That's how I read it. That was her just saying that the adultery is so flagrant that it's made me feel uncomfortable in my own house.
I don't know if we know the answer to that quite yet.
We're going to move on, but just real quick, they've been married for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years actually in May when the child is born. And they met when he was a quarterback at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. And he even wrote an album essentially dedicated to her.
All about her, yeah.
So there you go.
Hey, Aaron from New York City. Yeah, there's obviously a lot here, but Hannah is clearly not putting up with any of Sam's nonsense by getting right to the papers. But here's the thing, Harvey. Sam hasn't had an album in 2 years, so I'm expecting a good old country, deep, emotional album coming out soon.
Well, that's the way it works, all right?
Yeah.
That is the
Think
way.
about what you go through.
That is the way it works.